I was playing around with writing like an MCP server in Zig just for fun, mostly because I don't know Zig and it's fun to kind of look at the code and things like that. And I was going through that exercise and trying to think of like, is this big enough that I need to test it? And I used subagents for this because it turned out that one of these tasks, like when you're testing something like that, if you've got multiple agents that need to use this code, like skills, like MCPs, or like something like a plugin or maybe a command, you can actually have different agents go out and test with different agent software for you as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. So you could use Goose, for example, to test your MCP alongside Codex and Claude within the same session using that one piece of script. Anyway, the other one in here is that if you don't want to make your own, there is one called deep reasoning. And this is a bundled workflow. Sorry, I realize we're just looking at the docs. This isn't too exciting, but basically you can do a slash deep hyphen research, and that will queue that workflow to do deep research for you. Now, I think deep research has been out for a minute, but I think this is actually a new take on deep research. It's like they've taken that workflow and made it generic so other people can create their own, and then shown us that this is an example that you can use. Anyway, I don't want to take too long on this. All this to say, there's a new way to use agents or sub agents or maybe context sharing with agents within Claude. You can set it up so it's repeatable. So you're kind of taking a spec, putting it into code, and using that JavaScript code to drive it on a regular basis. So if you've got something like, in my case, I'm testing skills and MCPs, that feels like a good fit for me because I need to do multiple tests at once. It feels like the right shape, and they're gonna be dynamic every time because I could be doing different things in the MCP. Plus, I need to like add it into the context. The other is, though, as you're doing a session, if you find that this becomes bigger than you expected, you can use something like the deep research to get more info. So it's kind of like a planning session, but more on the research side of the plan. And then when it gets into the plan, like you'd normally run a plan and then do the coding, it feels like you could do a plan and then have a workflow built from the plan and then continue on the workflow with using UltraCode. That seems like the happy medium right now, and it removes a lot of that overhead I was talking about before in terms of picking the models, picking the effort, picking the context that you're sharing with them, and then even just picking the agents and the roles because you can define those like I showed you on the fly. You can go back and update that JavaScript code as well if you want to make it more generic or less so, as we showed.